My name is Tessa Marlo, 33 years old, and if you think family betrayal always arrives with shouting and slammed doors, wait until you see what happened to me. It began on Easter Sunday. My mother stood in the center of a luxury kitchen, smiling for cameras, while my sister accepted the keys to a brand new $75,000 SUV. People applauded, champagne popped, phones were raised to capture the moment. Then Mom turned to me. Still smiling, she handed me a thin envelope labeled, "The outsider inside was a single blank page with one sentence. You'll understand someday." The room waited for my reaction. Then she tilted her head and asked, loud enough for everyone to hear, "So, how does it feel to always be the backup?" I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I looked her in the eyes, smiled calmly, and said, "Let's see how you manage without the $7,000 I send every month." The room went silent. My sister's laugh vanished. Dad blinked in confusion. I placed the envelope on the counter, turned around, and walked out. No shouting, no scene, just silence loud enough to shake the whole house. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the room isn't the one making noise. It's the one quietly removing themselves from the system. And that night, I deleted my mother from the budget. I turned off my phone, not to punish them, to protect my peace. For the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Every month, I sent $7,000. Mortgage payments, credit card bills, medical expenses, my sister's emergencies, my father's quiet debts, money that came from my late nights, long weeks, and endless work. Monday morning, I skipped the transfer. The money stayed in my account. I sat in a quiet coffee shop, sipping espresso and feeling something unfamiliar. Relief. By Tuesday, the messages started. "Mom, we didn't mean it like that." "Dad, call me when you can." "Sister, you're overreacting." "Ezra, hey, your mom says it's serious." No one said we were wrong. By Wednesday, the tone changed. My sister emailed, "Emergency, call now." I deleted it unread. By Thursday night, someone pounded on my apartment door. Then came Mom's voice. "Tessa, please, we need to talk about the house." I stood behind the door and said nothing, because the same woman who humiliated me in public was now standing outside, needing help from the daughter she called second best. And I wanted to see what happened when entitlement met reality. The next morning, Dad called. That alone was shocking. He hadn't called when I bought my apartment. He hadn't called when I landed a major contract. He hadn't called when I was sick for weeks. But now there was a banking issue. Interesting. I checked the shared account I used for family transfers. Overdrawn. There were charges for spa treatments, tuxedo rentals, wedding planning, luxury purchases. They had been spending like my support would never end. Then I found something worse. A digital statement from my late grandfather's trust. $150,000 meant to be divided between me and my sister. Gone. Transferred years earlier under power of attorney, signed by my mother. That was the moment everything changed. This wasn't just favoritism anymore. It was financial betrayal. And they still expected me to keep paying. I booked a meeting with a financial advisor the next day. I brought statements, records, screenshots, trust documents. She reviewed everything carefully and said, "You've been financially exploited." No drama, just facts. We froze every joint account tied to my name. We revoked all permissions. We filed alerts. We documented everything. Then I mailed 3 letters, one to my parents, one to my sister, one to the mortgage lender. Each letter made one thing clear: I was no longer responsible for their debts. By Friday morning, chaos had arrived. We reviewed everything: the trust transfers, the unauthorized signatures, the misuse of funds. She looked up and said, "We have a strong case." So I stopped asking to be treated fairly and started protecting myself properly. When the family group chat exploded, I sent only one reply: "Tell it to the judge." Then I muted the conversation forever. A year later, Easter came again. I received a card in the mail. Inside was a family photo and a check for $7,000, the exact amount I used to send every month. At the bottom, it said, "Family forgives. Come home." I didn't cash the check. I framed it, a reminder that guilt can wear expensive wrapping paper. That night, they appeared at my apartment one final time, Mom crying, Ezra pacing, my aunt holding paperwork. "We can fix this," she said. I asked one question. "Why now?" Ezra finally answered. "Because I'm running for local office, and your lawsuit makes things complicated." There it was. Not remorse, reputation management. I handed them a folder containing my withdrawal from every family account, agreement, and mediation effort. Then I opened the door and said, "If you ever want to speak to me again, show up for something that isn't about money." They left quietly, and this time, I smiled when the door closed. I didn't spend the next chapter seeking revenge. I built something better. I used that $7,000 check to start a small grant fund helping women leave toxic family situations and rebuild. By summer, dozens had applied. I changed my locks. I changed my name. I changed my definition of family. On the anniversary of that Easter humiliation, I hosted a dinner for women who had been excluded, dismissed, or underestimated. We raised glasses of lemonade and celebrated fresh starts. When someone asked how I moved on, I told them the truth. I stopped waiting for my family to love me properly and started loving myself loudly. The final letter I ever received from my mother said, "You were always the strong one, I just didn't want to see it." I folded it carefully. Not to forgive, not to forget, just to file it under closure, because I didn't burn bridges. I built boundaries. And on the other side of them, I found peace.